Hello, hello. As you can probably guess, I'm on another road trip. I feel like this is some of the best time I really have to sit and like gather my thoughts. And so it comes out really well whenever I can kind of like talk to you guys. Because otherwise I would be listening to my audiobook or talking to my husband. Which I mean, both are great. But this one, anyway. I had such a productive day, even though it wasn't doing much. I just got out of a meeting in Renfrew for the Hive. The Hive! And I'm going to be hosting a couple of workshops from there. Not the wellness workshops. The wellness workshops are going to be either done outside or at one of the other locations that I'm kind of like collaborating with. But these ones will be for crochet. I'm going to be doing some crochet workshops. I'll be doing like a beginner and an intermediate and an advanced one, and teach you guys how to make some of the stuff I make. Fuck yeah. And I also, while we were there, we discussed guest spotting for tattooing. Yesterday or the day before? A couple days ago was my 16 years tattooing. It's a lot of freaking time to be stabbing people. And that was wonderful. And so I'm really, really eager and excited. Too excited. I should be slowing down. I can tell you how fast I was going. Just too fast. Yeah, I'm really excited, really eager, and especially noticing and realizing that so much more of what I was hoping to do last year is just kind of naturally coming to fruition this year. Over the past couple of years, I was really excited about a couple different like workshops and like classes and courses that I was hoping to eventually be able to teach or offer. And now I'm just kind of like more naturally in a position to do so authentically without taking too much from myself and without, you know what I mean? Like this year I'm better able to kind of gather my bearings together, and the capacity is just there. As per my last video too, it's funny actually, I haven't uploaded any of them yet, so there's probably going to be 3 of these going up all at the same time. But the capacity is there a lot more so than it had been in years previous. And I truly do feel like it's like going back to, I've mentioned it before, whenever we're manifesting things, and I've heard this a million times over as well, not just in my own words, but whenever we're manifesting things, we're going to be given what we're at the capacity to receive. And so we might be manifesting like, you know, this big evolution within our career, but if we want it to be sustainable, then we have to respect that the manifestation is going to happen in its due time. And certain things, especially like a house, like the house that I've been manifesting hasn't come yet because it's just not available to us yet. It's just not to mention, like, is that even what we need to be doing? Like, we have no idea what source has in store for us. And so everything that we try to make manifest, like, we're only going to align with what we're ready for. Of course, we may manifest some things that we're super eager about, and we'll go ahead and get what we wished for and realize that it's not, in fact, what we wanted to be doing. I can't even count how many times that I'd been given something that I wanted and genuinely realized, like, oh my god, I can't hold on to this. Like, it just doesn't work. And those times are necessary too, I think. Now, however, like, I was trying to manifest, or at least really trying to find a space in which that I could tattoo more regularly. Like, I knew that I could go and set up there and that will be just the spot that I'm going to tattoo at. I thought that was going to look like, you know, renting out of a studio or renting somewhere that I could kind of do that from. And to know that I can guest spot in certain places, like go a couple days earlier or whenever and have the health inspection done and know that I can kind of return whenever I need to. And that I'm so fucking excited for, because I never would have thought, like, I wouldn't have thought of that beforehand, because in my mind it's like, oh, that's just more work. But no, it's keeping the passion in the work, because I'm not the kind of person, like, I have so much more of my job goes outside of the scope of tattooing, like between making clothing, making like body care, making art, and, you know, like just and especially now with offering different levels of workshop and different eventually hopefully leading into things like facilitating retreat. And that is huge. That is huge for me. None of these things would have been accomplishable even a year ago. And I was trying a year ago to have all these things made manifest, and I just wasn't ready. And now being in a position in life where I am, like, I have the capacity, I have the attention span, and I also have the resources. Like, I have the people on hand that are, like, they're willing to collaborate and work with these things. And it's not me having to ask. It's like these opportunities are really presenting themselves to me. And as well, the opportunities that I do kind of reach out for, they're receiving me with open arms. And that's something that's very new, which I think for me shows that I am at the capacity that I've been kind of praying for and building over the, like, and cultivating, I guess is a good word for that, over the past couple years. You know, it's like I just did a video the other day, and I'm sure I'll post it again at the same time as this, where you're building that capacity, and it's almost like working a muscle. You know, like, you start at one level, it's like, okay, maybe you're in a headspace where you can take on one thing a week, and then you get that little bit better. So now you can take on 2 things in a week. You can take on 1 thing a day, and then you can take on multiple things a day. It's building that capacity. Same with, like, doing any sort of difficult job, right? Like, it's always going to be hard and daunting and like just challenging all around in the beginning. But the more you commit yourself to learning that trade, that job, that hobby, whatever, the better you get at it. Then the same goes for building your capacity for good, building your capacity for things like calling in new manifests. And that's really where I see myself at, is that now I've built myself to this position that I can start receiving a lot of what I've been praying for over the past couple of years. And that is fucking huge. Like, I wished for these things, I prayed for these things, but I think there was an aspect of my unconscious that was worried, or at least, like, the imposter syndrome within my mind was telling me that I wasn't going to be able to attain or sustain everything I've been asking for. And I think that now I'm at a position in which I can kind of more comfortably be like, yeah, you know what? And even if I can't right now, I know I can do that. Going back into the video I made a couple weeks ago now, where it was saying, like, I cannot be told it can't be done, because I just fucking can't. Like, I have done so many seemingly impossible things now that I can't be told that it's not possible. I can't be told that something I wish to attain is unattainable. And especially because so many of the things that I've kind of come to find for myself, I've done it in a way that nobody else would do it. It's in pure Brooke fashion, if you will. And that's huge, to be able to figure it out yourself, dive in without the instructions, dive in without the guided narrative. That takes a lot. And I'm glad, I'm grateful that I can say that it's something that I do on repeat. It's something I've become comfortable doing regularly, stepping out of myself, away from my ego, to create a larger capacity or a better discipline for these things that I hope to kind of hold for myself in life. A lot of what I'm doing now is so much more in alignment with anything I've ever done in my life. And I wouldn't have been able to get here where I'm at now without having gone through the really difficult stages of that, where I wasn't able to hold anything. My first year, whenever I think, like, I've been doing my art business full time for 3 years now, and that first year was messy. I did not make much, and like, it was enough to kind of convince me, like, okay, maybe this is worth doing, but it was nowhere near where I'm at now. I would be able to do one show a month, and now now I do more than one a week. And on top of doing, my regular market or like vending on the weekends, I do the workshops, and the health and holistic stuff is being balanced now with the crafting workshops, and those workshops are being balanced with tattooing, and that tattooing on my own turf has become tattooing in far-reaching corners, which is another thing I'd hoped for, but really didn't think that I'd be able to kind of amount to. And all of that has happened in such an organic way. Like, it really has balanced itself out every step of the way. And I'm glad that it did, because if I would have received everything that I had manifested all at once, I would be so overwhelmed that I'd have given up ages ago. And I am so grateful that I wasn't able to see the forest for the trees until I was ready to see the forest for the trees. Does that make sense? And to see the forest through the trees. Because a lot of the time too, like, it's hard to look past the major things kind of standing in your way right off the hop, especially if the trees look like a forest fire. Because, I mean, it's almost impossible to see past the forest fire and think, oh, there's a nice clear field on the other side of that. No, we see forest fire, we go, we're dying, and then we don't tend to look much further past that. And so I think it's a very good indication that I'm in a healthy state of mind and a healthy place in life to know that I'm able to hold everything that I've worked to hold. That feels good. It feels very good. Life is a funny and fickle thing. This past couple of weeks, actually, there's been a lot of death, and death of women my age. Some are mothers, some are, just good friends, solid people in the community, and, women with their heads on their shoulders, and they're around my age. And seeing so many of them drop off one after another, and it's to different things. One had passed away in a car accident, another had passed away in she had a heart attack last night, like fucking early 30s, had a heart attack. She just had a baby 4 months ago. Like, oh, speaking of which, Charity, my friend Charity passed away at this spot 3 years ago now, 2 years. It's a bit of a blur. She had actually also gotten into a car wreck, and that's how she lost her life. And that was huge for me. She was like a second mother to me whenever I got back from hitchhiking. She was the woman who really took me under her wing. She helped me out through adult high school. I was homeless at the time, so she let me stay with her and her kids. I was under 18 still, though, and the bench warrant hadn't gone away yet, and she was worried. Anyway, big long one. She protected my ass. Hardcore protected my ass. And helped me get my head on my shoulders. And beyond that, then to circle back to what I was talking about before, with the women passing away, it has really put into perspective how fragile this incarnation can be, and how fragile our life's work can be. We put so much stock into how we're perceived and how, we fit into these roles and standards that society's kind of created for us, or that the people in our environments have created for us. And we don't put nearly enough stock into our experience here, like our lived human experience, And that's something that I've really been giving a lot of contemplation to over the past couple weeks. And not even just because it's become more relevant based off of like the environmental deaths that have happened. And this time, like, I hate saying it this way, but 3 years ago, whenever I lost those 3 people back to back, they were all very, very close to me. Like that devastated me. That really shook me to my core. And that was, you know, after already having lost so many people that I knew so well. And this year, I don't, like, it's people that I knew in passing. And it still definitely registers in such a visceral way. Like, you can't contemplate someone's life that it had so much meaning without having some deep level of grief associated with that loss that the humankind now has to face without that individual being here, much less their individual communities. Like those communities that those individuals had touched have so many aspects of that person's like fractal energy within it it shatters it for a good while. And so it's hard to think of those instances without thinking of those people that loved those individuals. And of course, thinking about my own morality, my own mortality, and my morality during my mortality. I think about my daughter, and I think of how my absence, my death would impact her. And within that, I lay credit as well to the impact I would have made on her while I was living and how that would influence her after I go. And it may sound strange, and I've actually spoken about this before in these videos, is it makes me think of how people would speak of me after I go, or like in my eulogy, you know, like who's going to cry and who's going to laugh, who's going to be in like, just who's going to remember with absolute joy the things that I'd left, who's going to have unfinished business and wish they'd said something they hadn't said, who's going to, you know, leave me off with a good riddance because I haven't been a saint to everybody in this lifetime. You know, who would receive my passing as good news and who would be indifferent. And not that any of that matters at the end of the day. In a big way, it really doesn't. But I'm curious to know. And within that, I often think about my morality, like my morals and my values and how I hold that while I'm alive. Like, how do I communicate with the people that I feel would need that the most? How do I hold space for the people that could use the love while I'm there? And especially if I have the capacity to hold and share in that love and space. Anyway, that's been my thoughts the past couple of weeks. And not everybody loves the death talk. I'm a bit of a unique fellow for my ability to kind of dive into those depths and think and truly connect. Like, allow myself to grieve my own humanity. I don't think we do that for ourselves often enough. Are we gonna cry when we're at the end? Will we have time? Will we have the ability to process what's happening even? Like, or will we go in a blink? It's impossible to know. Anyway. And I think that really ties into living life intentionally. Living life in such a way that you're making the conscious choice to be here, to show up, to do the things, to have fun, to organize to build yourself up in a capacity in which that you can hold the kind of space and live the kind of life that you envision yourself living. There is no waiting for things to happen. Things won't happen without being encouraged to happen. You know what I mean? You can manifest the things, but if you're not putting the action required into the process required to have these things happen, then nothing's going to happen. None of this happens by accident. It just fucking doesn't. None of this happens without our kind of like gentle nudging along, you know? We need to be able to show up for ourselves, and not just in the ways of like self-care, but in the ways that are preventative maintenance, in the ways that are kind of like chipping away at the overall block in the bigger picture. We need to show up for ourselves in discipline so that we have healthy bodies, healthy minds, and a space in which we can properly evolve in a healthy way. And again, no one gets good at everything right off the hop. I just don't think it's not possible. But we get better over time. And that all starts with the very first step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins in the very first step. Yeah. Anyhow, here I am, at least 1,000 steps into my journey, at least. And the journey is getting a lot more colorful, a lot more vibrant. The landscape is remarkable. It really is tearing down the family fucking tree and replacing it with something more myself. It's tearing down the things that were my environment to create my own. Instead of matching the energy in the room, I set the energy in the room. And that's something that I never before really had for myself. And I'm really grateful to have put in the work earlier, to have walked those baby steps to be able to have what I do now. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the fucking world. Not a damn thing. Anyhow, I'm about 20 minutes from home now. Maybe a little less. I'm gonna listen to a little bit of audiobook, reflect, got myself a cupcake. Life is good. Toodles.